So good evening everyone. My name is Pradeep Elawat. I am your faculty for Indian Polity. My task is simple to make this subject interesting, exciting, but at the same time purposeful. What is my purpose? My purpose is by attending these lectures, you will acquire knowledge using which you might win an argument with your friend, but that's not my purpose. Yes, by attending these lectures, you will acquire knowledge using which you might fit enough that you are going to fight a case before the Supreme Court of India. That's not my purpose. What is my purpose? My purpose is simple, that you can clear this examination in a very single attempt. So we are going to start with Indian polity. So this class is going live on application as well as some students are watching on WhatsApp. So do not worry if you miss the class. This class is also recorded. I will share you the link later. So just enjoy the class. So let us start with the Indian polity. So I am going to cover this Indian polity in around 90 hours. Approximately 90 hours. Fine. Now let us start. Now what happens? Previously when the pattern was very simple, so UPSC was asking question like this: who was the chairman of the drafting committee? Everybody knows, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. What are the first three words of the preamble? We the people of India. Where was the Purna Swaraj adopted? On the banks of River Ravi. When did India enforce its constitution? Everybody knows about this, all this question. But now the pattern has been changed. UPSC is not interested in this kind of questions because nowadays UPSC is asking some current affair based question. For example, right to privacy. They're asking question like this: right to privacy is protected under which article of the constitution? Article 15, 19, 21, 29. So we have to focus what are the bills or amendments are done in the parliament currently. Fine. So we have to also focus on this. So this question was asked in 2021. Similarly, if you see this question, that is a MP LATS. So this is also a current affair based question. So we have to also focus on more current affair based question rather than the static part. We will cover the static part also, and we are also going to cover the current affair part also. Fine. So these type of question nowadays they are asking. For example, one part of this is a specified portion of each MPs. MP means member of parliament fund must benefit SC/ST populations. So these are all in a current affair. Fine. So we'll look at these questions later. Same this question. For example, this was appeared in 2020. Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha in which of the following matters? So when we discuss the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, then I will give a comparison of a chart between the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Then after that you will be able to give the answer of this type of questions. Fine. Now let us start with this our preamble. Now what is preamble? What is the significance of preamble? What are the various Supreme Court judgments regarding preamble? Is preamble a part of the Indian Constitution or not? We will look at some of the relevant information related to preamble that can be helpful in your prelims examination. In the end, we will raise a very important question: is preamble a myth or reality in the contemporary India? So let's get started. Every book, or for that matter any book, has a preface. For example, I have this book called Indian Polity by M. Lakshmikant, 6th edition. Now when I open this book, so I found a page. This is known as a preface. Now what is this preface all about? This preface tells us what this book is all about. This preface is nothing but brief or short summary of this particular book. Or I can say that what was the thought process of writer, what was the thought process of M. Lakshmikant when he was writing this book. In the same manner I can say that preamble is nothing but it is simply the preface of Constitution of India. Fine. So can I say in a one line, I can say preamble is nothing but preface of Constitution of India. Now this is the first point. Now second point is that what was the thought process of the writer of this constitution? what was the thought process of drafter of this constitution is also reflected in this preamble. How? Because our preamble talk about justice, our preamble talk about liberty, our preamble talk about equality, fraternity, unity and the integrity of the nation. What it mean? It mean the drafter of our constitution, the maker of our constitution, they were believer of justice, they were believer of liberty, they were believer of equality, so and so far. So two things is very much clear. The first thing is preamble is nothing but the preface of Constitution of India, and second is nothing but it also unlocks the mind of the writer who wrote this constitution. Fine. So let me write these 2 points. What is the first point? Please note down in your notebook. Preamble is preface of Constitution of India. Always remember. So if someone asks you in the interview what do you mean by the preamble, so simply say ma'am or sir, this preamble is nothing but it is basically the preface of Constitution of India. First point is clear. Now let me give you the second point. It also unlocks the minds of writer oblique, you can write drafter also. It also unlocks the minds of writer oblique drafter who wrote this constitution. Agree? So I give you 2 points regarding the preamble. So please note down these 2 points in your copy. This is very, very important. In the interview, they can ask this question, or maybe they can ask this in the prelims part of your paper also. Fine. So let me repeat once again so that this topic will clear more and more clear to you. So preamble is nothing but the preface of Constitution of India. First point. What is the second point? It also unlocks the mind of writer or drafter who wrote this constitution. Agree? Now, let us also talk about our first Prime Minister, that is a Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru represented a resolution, and the resolution presented by this Pandit Nehru is known as, or was known as, the objective resolution. Now this question may be asked in your prelims paper. What was the objective resolution of Pandit Nehru? So remember, my dear friend, the objective resolution of Pandit Nehru talk about justice, talk about liberty, talk about world peace. So Pandit Nehru represent this objective resolution, and the Constituent Assembly passed this objective resolution. And remember, my dear friend, our preamble is nothing but it is based on a same objective resolution of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So this question was asked in one of the state public service commission, that preamble is same as the objective resolution of Pandit Nehru or not. So answer is absolutely correct. This is the right answer. So always remember, objective resolution of Pandit Nehru is nothing but it is also the same as the preamble. It is also the same as the preamble of Constitution of India, because whatever the things mentioned in the objective resolution of Pandit Nehru, they also talk about the same thing in the preamble of the Constitution of India. Fine. So can I say I have already give you the 3 points. What is the first point? Preamble is the preface of Constitution of India. Second point is it also unlocks the minds of writer or drafter who wrote this constitution. And third, preamble is, can I say, the third point is nothing but preamble is nothing but the objective resolution of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Agree? So please write down all these 3 points, then we will proceed. Fine. So these are the 3 points that you have to remember. The first point is this: preamble is the preface of Constitution of India. Second point is it also unlocks the mind of writer or drafter who wrote this constitution. And third is nothing but preamble is nothing but the objective resolution of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Fine. So these are the 3 points. So please write down all these 3 points in your notebook. Then we will proceed. First is preamble is the preface of Constitution of India. Second, it also unlocks the minds of writer or drafter who wrote this constitution. Third is preamble is nothing but the objective resolution of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. I hope you have copied this, all this, or you can take the screenshot. Now let me go back to our main slide. So this is our preamble. Now let us discuss this preamble in detail. So let me divide this preamble in 4 parts. The first is nothing but we the people of India. The first part is we the people of India. The second part is nothing but nature of the Indian state. For example, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic. So this is the second part. What is the second part, my dear friend? Nature of, second part is nothing but nature of Indian states or nature of states. Fine. Now what about third point? Let me break in the third point. This justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. So these are nothing but objective. This is the third point. These are the objectives of Constitution of India. Fine. And the fourth is nothing but the date on which our constitution was enacted. So I am going to break our preamble in 4 parts. The first part is the we the people of India. Second is the nature. Third is the objective. And fourth is nothing but the date on which our constitution was enacted. Fine. Now let me start with the first, we the people of India. So we the people of India represent what? It basically represents source. It basically represents source of the Constitution of India. Now what is the source of the Constitution of India? We people, means you people, I, and we all are nothing but the source of the Constitution of India. What it mean? It mean our constitution is not a gift of the foreign power. Our constitution is not a gift of the foreign organization. This is a gift of people of this country which they have given to themselves. Fine. So remember the first part, we the people of India, it basically represents the source of Constitution of India. Agree? So I hope the first part is clear in the preamble. So we the people of India basically represent the source of the Constitution of India. Fine. The first thing is clear. Now second thing is, have you ever noticed when you read this sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, all these words are in capital and there is no comma or punctuation mark between all these terms. Can you tell me what is the reason behind it? The reason behind this is that you cannot see sovereign as a separately, you cannot see socialist as a separately, you cannot see secular as a separately. We have to look at all these terms integral as a whole. So if any one of the term is removed, so what will happen? The whole nature of the Indian state will be collapsed. So that's why in this preamble you will find all this term sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. All these terms are in capital and there is no comma or punctuation mark. So this question may be asked in the interview. Why? All these terms are in capital. First question. Second question is that why there is a no comma between them? Because we have to look at all these terms integral, not separately. So you cannot separate sovereign from socialist. You cannot separate socialist from secular. You cannot separate secular from democratic. You cannot separate democratic from republic, so and so far. Fine. So I told you 2 things. The first is the we the people of India. It basically tells about the source of the Constitution of India. Second is nothing but the nature of the Indian state. So we are going to discuss this nature of the Indian state in detail later. Now let me come to the third part of this preamble. The third part is nothing but they are talking about the justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, unity and the integrity of the nation. So we are going to discuss all these things in a detail later. Now what about the fourth point? The fourth point is nothing but the date on which our constitution was enacted. So my dear friend, what was the date? Remember, the date is nothing but 26th November 1949. But remember, although our constitution was ready on 26th November 1949, some provision was enacted on the same day, but some of the provisions was, or I can say that this constitution came into force. This came into force on 26th January 1950. So this came into force on 26 January 1950. Remember my dear friends, some of the provisions were already enacted on this day and some of the provisions were enacted on 26 November 1950. Now you must have one doubt, sir, why this constitution came into force on enforced on this 26 January 1950? For that we have to go back in 1929. Where the Purna Swaraj demand was occur. So in our country, very first time we celebrated our first Independence Day on 26 January 1930. Remember my dear friend, the first Independence Day was celebrated on 26 January 1930. Pandit Nehru said, although we could not got independence on 26 January, but this date is of immense significance. That's why we are going to enforce our constitution on this day, and that's why this day is celebrated as Republic Day. That's why this day is celebrated as Republic Day. Fine. So I hope till now everything is clear. So just copy all these things and then we'll continue. Fine. So please copy up to here. Fine. I hope you have copied all these things, and if you have any doubt you can ask me later. You just note down that doubt and we can discuss that doubt later. Fine. So I divided this preamble in four parts. First is the source of the Constitution of India. Second is the nature. Third is the objective. And what was the fourth? Fourth was the date on which our constitution was enacted. But remember, our constitution came into force or enforced on 26 January 1950. So remember, some of the provisions were enacted on this day and some provisions were enacted on this 26 January 1950. So I hope till now there is no doubt. Fine. So it's okay from my side. Let me go and start with the first nature, and the first nature I am going to discuss is this sovereign. Now if you see this picture, he is Mr. Amit Shah. He is nothing but the Minister of Home Affairs. Fine. Now I am going to tell you what is the meaning of sovereign. Suppose he want to pass a bill. Suppose he want to pass a bill. XYZ is the name of the bill. So does he seek permission of the United States for passing this bill? No. Does he seek permission of the Britain for passing the bill? No. What it means? This means that India is internally as well as externally free from the external power. Internally also free and externally also free. Means there is a no force from the other countries. So we can pass any bill. We can pass any bill in the parliament using by following some procedure. Fine. So if I come to the definition, can I say India is internally and externally sovereign, or I can say that externally free from the control of any foreign power. Means suppose we want to pass any bill, for example we want to implement GST, so we do not seek the permission of the United States or any other country, we can pass that bill. So because India, it's a free government, it has a free government that is directly elected by the people, and make laws that govern the people. No external power can dictate the government of India. This is the meaning of sovereign. Now you must have one doubt, sir, what is the meaning of internally and what is the meaning of externally sovereign? India is both. I hope you can understand what is the meaning of the externally sovereign. Means Britain does not have any power on us, United States or United Nations does not have any power on us related to passing of any bill in the parliament. And what is the meaning of the internally? India is internally sovereign also. Means whether it is a state government or whether it is a central government, all government are nothing but they are the elected government. They are the elected governments. What do you mean by this elected government? We are going to discuss about this elected government in the next, that is a democracy. But till now you can remember this, he is nothing but a member of parliament. Narendra Modi Sahab is also a member of parliament. So all these are the member of parliament. So all these are the member of parliament, and what will happen? Some of them will become the cabinet minister, and the head of all these cabinet minister is known as the prime minister. Fine. So some will become the ministers and the head of one is known as the prime minister. So we are going to discuss all these things in detail later. Fine. So remember one thing, India is internally sovereign also and externally sovereign also. So because you people are voted for him, that's why he became the member of parliament. Once he became the member of parliament of the ruling government, so he became the ministers. So that's why he is the minister of the home affairs. Fine. So I hope this is very much clear. So if someone asks you what do you mean by the sovereign, so remember India is internally and externally sovereign. Fine. So remember, or you can write this point in your mains, no external power can dictate the government of India. Suppose this question came in prelims and they give the options, so you can match or you can find the meaning or you can find the synonyms. Means no external power can dictate the government of India. This is the meaning of this sovereign. Fine. I hope you can understand this in a better way. Now, if this is clear, let me go to the next part, that is a democratic. Now, before going to the definition of this democracy, let me tell you a very beautiful quote that is given by Abraham Lincoln. So, Abraham Lincoln Sahab said, democracy, what do you mean by the democracy? Democracy is nothing but it is a government of the people, by the people and for the people. So in the words of Abraham Lincoln, what is democracy? Democracy is nothing but it is of the people, by the people and for the people. If I ask you, what is the opposite of this democracy? The opposite of this democracy is nothing but dictatorship. The opposite of this democracy is nothing but dictatorship. Now, can you tell me what happens in dictatorship? Remember, in dictatorship, there is only one person, and that person is known as a king. So whatever the king said become a law. He is the king, jury or executioner. Whatever he say, that become a law. So this is the example of a dictatorship. But this is not happens in India. Indian government is nothing but Indian government is a democratically elected government. Whether it is the government of NCT, that is the National Capital of Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal government, means Aam Aadmi Party government, or for example, you people are belong to the Haryana or Nagaland or Manipur. So any state you are belonging. So all these state governments are nothing but they are the democratically elected government. Because you peoples are given the vote to these people, and remember, these peoples are not ruling us. These peoples are not ruling us. These peoples are serving us. These peoples are serving us. So we people are given vote to these people, and these peoples are making laws on behalf of us. Agree? So remember, all the state government, or whether it is a central government, all government in India is nothing but a democratically elected government. Agree? Generally, democracy is of a two type. So generally, democracy is of a two type. First one is the direct democracy. First one is direct democracy, and second is indirect democracy. Second is indirect democracy. Now, can you tell me what happens in direct democracy? First of all, remember, direct democracy is only possible when there is a small population. When there is a small population. So what happens when there is a small population? For example, this is one country. So what happens? All peoples came together and they are making a law. They are making a law. But what happens when the population will become large? For example, our India. In our India, this direct democracy is not possible. So what we are following? We are following the indirect democracy, and in this indirect democracy, we are following the representative democracy. We are following the representative democracy. Now, what do you mean by the representative democracy? Means we peoples are giving vote to our, for example, I am talking about the state legislature. So we are giving vote to the MLAs. So these MLAs are elected and they are making laws on behalf of us. So this is one example of an indirect democracy. So always remember, when population is less, direct democracy is possible. When population is large, so indirect democracy is possible. Fine. So this is the meaning of democracy. So I hope this is very much clear. So let me read for you. Democratic. Democratic indicates the Constitution has established a form of government that gets, GETS, that gets its authority from the will of the people. This is the keyword. So my dear friend, suppose you want to write this in the mains paper. So what you have to remember this government, it is establish a form of government that gets its authority from the will of the people. From the will of the people. What is the keyword? Keyword is will of the people. What is the keyword in the democracy? Will of the people. Fine. So if you write this word in the mains paper, so examiner will give you the maximum marks. Agree? Now, the rulers are elected by the peoples and are responsible to them. Fine. And they are elected for the 5 years. They are elected for the 5 years. Suppose you don't like someone, so what will happen? Next time, please do not vote to that people. Vote to the another people. Fine. So this is the democracy. So India is sovereign also. India is sovereign also, and India is democratic also. Now I am giving you one homework. You have to tell me, is it possible that a country, is it possible that a country is sovereign? Country is sovereign plus democratic? Yes, this is possible. What is the best example? Best example is India. Agree? Best example is India. Now you have to tell me, it is possible that country is sovereign but not democratic. Country is sovereign but not democratic. If this is the case, you have to tell me the name of that particular country. Fine. This is the second point. And you have to tell me, it is possible that a country is neither sovereign and nor democratic. Fine. So you have to give me, if this is possible. For example, one country is sovereign but that country is not democratic, means there is no democracy. So if this is the case, you have to give me the you have to give me the name of that country. And if it is possible that one country is neither sovereign or neither democratic, so you have to also give me the answer of that country. Fine. So this is, my dear friend, your homework. Fine. So please note down your homework. So this is your homework. So you have to give me the answer of this tomorrow. Fine. Before starting of the class, you can tell me the answer of this question. Fine. So I told you India is a sovereign also and India is democratic also, but you have to tell me, is there any possibility that a country is sovereign but not democratic? Fine. So you have to tell me all these things tomorrow. Fine. Now, so two things is clear, sovereign is clear and democracy is clear. Fine. So if you have any doubt, please note down in your notebook. So after the class, or you can ask me tomorrow before starting the class, sir, I have this doubt, so please clear this doubt. Fine. Now let me come to the, okay, democracy is clear. Or if you are writing, for example, you are preparing for the NPSC, fine, you have to write in a mains paper, in a essay, you can use this quote, na, democracy, government is government of the people, by the people, for the people. So you can use this in mains also, you can use this in ethics also, you can use this in essay also. So you can note down in the last page of your copy, na, you can note down this quote. Fine. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. This quote was given by Abraham Lincoln. Fine. Now, so this second point is clear. Democratic is clear. So India is following. Now, third, republic. Now, what is the meaning of republic? The meaning of republic is that the head of the state is elected. The head of the state is elected. Now, in India, who is the head of the state? Head of the state in India is president. Is nothing but the president. When I will teach you the union executive, so I will tell you in that chapter that head of the state is nothing but the president. So remember, when the head of the state is elected, and this is not a hereditary monarch, so this is the meaning of the republic. But this is not the case in Britain. In Britain, everything is done on the name of a queen. So there is no election. So whatever is done, the final signature is of a queen. But this is not the case in India. You can see we have a Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam from 2002 to 2007. After that we have a Pratibha Devi Singh Patil. After that we have a Pranab Mukherjee. After that we have a Ramnath Kovind. And now recently Draupadi Murmu is become the President of India. What it means? This means that the head of the state, all these are the head, this is head, all these are the, all presidents are nothing but they are the head of the state. Head of the state. So my dear friend, do not confuse what is the meaning of state. State is not Arunachal Pradesh or Assam or Nagaland, no. What is state? I will tell you in the coming lectures in article 12. I will tell you what you mean by the term state. State is, you can say that in a simple line, it is a government. It is a government. Till now, you can assume state means nothing but a government. So head of the state is nothing but a president. So we have a periodic elections. So what will happen? Tomorrow you can also become the president of the India. Fine. Tomorrow you can also become the governor of the India. Fine. Oh, sorry, not governor of the India, governor of a particular state. Sorry for that one. Fine. So this is the meaning of republic. So republic means the head of the state is not hereditary in nature. So there will be a periodic election after 5 years. So tomorrow you can also become the president of India. So every citizen of India is eligible to become the president of the country. So this is the meaning of republic. Fine. So if someone asks you in the interview what do you mean by the republic, so simply say a republic means the head of the state is not hereditary in nature. The head of the state is not hereditary in nature. Fine. Now you can note down this. This is very, very important. I am giving you 1 minute. Just copy this. Fine, I hope you have write all this. Fine. So this is the third point, republic. So we discuss sovereign, we discuss democracy, democratic, and third is the republic. Now let me come to the fourth one. Fourth one is the socialist. Now remember, this socialist word was not available in the original preamble or original constitution of India. It was amended by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976 when Madam Indira Gandhi was the president. Sorry, when Madam Indira Gandhi was the prime minister. How you can remember? Simply remember 4 plus 2 is nothing but 6. So this is 1976. Now using this Constitutional Amendment Act, these three words were added: socialist, secular, and integrity. When you read the word history, you will able to know about the word socialist. So this socialist or socialism, this was given by the Karl Marx. This was given by the Karl Marx. So Karl Marx says that there is an inequality in the society. Karl Marx said that there is an inequality in the society. We have to remove that inequality in the society. And what is the main cause of the inequality in the society? So Karl Marx said that capitalism. Karl Marx says that capitalism is the main cause of the inequality in the society. So Karl Marx says that we have to abolish this capitalism. We have to abolish this capitalism, and to abolish this capitalism, we need a revolution. And that revolution can be bloody as well. So this all the private property will be kept under the check of the government. All the private property will be kept under the check of the government. So when Madam Indira Gandhi was the prime minister, he amended the preamble. So he added this socialist word. So this question was asked by Madam Indira Gandhi: what is your definition of socialism? Is your definition of socialism is same as the Karl Marx or not? So Madam Indira Gandhi said no. Our socialism is different. Our socialism is Gandhian socialism. Our socialism is nothing but a democratic socialism. Means Madam Indira Gandhi said that all the private property is kept under the check of government. Suppose I am the owner of a 100 acre of a land. 100 acre of a land. Government cannot take away my land. But if it is in the if it is for the larger goods, suppose government wants to lay down the railway track or they want to make a dam, so government can take this my land and they have to give me the compensation. So this is the meaning of the private property kept under the check. So what happens in the definition of Karl Marx? In the definition of Karl Marx, all private property will be comes under the government. But in India, all private property is not come under the government, they come under the check. If the government needs that property for a larger public good interest, so government can take the land and give some compensation to that person. This is the meaning of the socialism. Fine. So remember, these three words were not the originally part of the constitution. They were amended by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976 when Madam Indira Gandhi was the prime minister. How you can remember? Simply remember 4 plus 2 is nothing but 6. Agree? So if this question was asked in a prelims, India is following which type of socialism? So if you find an answer Gandhian socialism, yes. If they have given the option democratic socialism, yes, both are same. Democratic socialism or Gandhian socialism is both the same, but we peoples are not following this Karl Marx socialism because the Karl Marx socialism is talking about the violence. It talks about the violence. So we are not talking about this Karl Marx definition. Agree? So this is the meaning of the socialism. So this was added by the 42nd time Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. Agree? So we discuss sovereign, we discuss democratic, we discuss republic. Now we discuss the meaning of socialist. Now I am going to discuss all this nature. After that you can go with this book, that is the Indian Polity by M. Lakshmikant. So what will happen? This topic will become clear. and then I will give you the MCQ, and this topic will be 100% completed for your prelims as well as mains as well as interview. But you have to follow that book, because this book is known as the Gita, Quran or Bible of Indian polity. So compulsory you have to read this book multiple times. But before reading that book, you must have a little bit knowledge about all this basic fundamental. So I hope I am giving you some basic idea regarding this. Let me go to the next part. Fine. Now next is the secular. Now this term was also added by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. In polity, if you find this na CAA, so remember what is the meaning of this? Constitutional Amendment Act. CAA means Constitutional Amendment Act. Now, what is the meaning of secularism? Remember one thing, Indian state does not have any religion as a state religion. For example, if you are a Hindu, so whatever you want to do, whatever you want to offer the prayer, you can offer. Suppose you are a Muslim, whatever you want to offer a prayer in the mosque, you can offer. Suppose you are a Christian, you want to offer a prayer in the if you want to offer a prayer in the church, you can offer. So state does not interfere in your religion, whether you are a Hindu, Muslim, Sikh or Christian. State does not hold any religion as a state religion. But when you go to the Pakistan, in Pakistan, Islam is a state religion. When you go to the Bangladesh, what happens in the Bangladesh? In Bangladesh, Islam is also a state religion. When you go to the Burma or Myanmar, so they are having a one sect of Buddhism as a state religion. But remember, my dear friend, Indian secularism is unique. Just you will not find anywhere else in the world. Whatever you want to do within the four walls of your home, the state will never interfere. Whatever you want to offer prayer or whatever you want to do, the government or the state will never interfere. Suppose if you want to do the fasting in the month of the Navratra, fine, you can fast, fine. But this is not the case in the China, because China is also a anti-religion. So there is a Xinjiang provision in the China in which there is a Muslim community residing there. So during the month of fasting, they cannot fast because China is an anti-religion. But what about our India? Our India is secular. Means Indian state does not hold any religion as a state religion. So whatever you want to follow, you can follow. Whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Hindu, whether you are a Muslim or whether you are Sikh, whatever you want to follow, you can follow. The state will never interfere in your religion. This is the definition of secularism. Fine. So remember, the term was added through 42nd Amendment Act 1976. However, the Supreme Court said in 1974, although the secular state was not expressly mentioned in the Constitution, there can be no doubt that the Constitution maker wanted to establish a secular state. This is evident when one considers the secular fundamental provision of our Constitution. Example, rights against discrimination based on the religion, race, caste, etc. Fine. So we have discussed till all the natures. So let me go back to our main slides. So this was our main slide. So this is our preamble. So we discuss the source, and after source we discuss sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Fine. So from tomorrow I am going to complete this word liberty, equality, fraternity and all these things, and I am also going to take your doubts. So in the first few days I am going to take a small duration of class, but once you will comfortable with this system, we can increase the duration of class. Do not worry, it may be possible in the coming days we can take the class 3 hours, 4 hours depending upon your availability. So I will try to give my best, and I will try to complete the Indian polity as much as possible. Fine. So before completing this session, let me revise once again. What is the meaning of we the people of India? It tells about the source of the Constitution of India. Second is nothing but the nature of the Indian state. What is the nature of the Indian state? Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. So you have to look at all these terms together. Fine. So I'm going to end this session. So if you have any doubt, you can just text me. So tomorrow we'll continue at the same time. Thank you so much. Good evening everyone. So please comment whether the sound quality is okay or not. After that we will.
Good evening everyone. So please comment whether the sound quality is okay or not.
Fine. So we'll continue our topic, that is preamble of Constitution of India. In yesterday class you can send me message on WhatsApp if sound quality is okay. A video I can see in my mobile. Sound quality is okay, please comment. If it is okay, then we will start the class. You can comment in chat box also. Okay, fine. So let's continue the class. Fine. Okay. In the previous lecture, we start with the preamble of Constitution of India. So if you remember, in the last lecture, I break this preamble in 4 categories. What is the first part? I told you the first part is nothing but we the people of India. So it basically tells about the source of the Constitution of India. After that, I told you about the nature of the Indian states. Nature of Indian states. What should be the nature of the Indian state? We discussed in the last lecture: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. So all these things we discussed in the last lecture. Fine. Now let me revise once again so that this concept will become more and more clear to you. Fine. Now can you tell me what is the meaning of sovereign? The meaning of sovereign is nothing but India is internally and externally free. India is internally and externally free. This we have discussed in the last lecture, and similarly you can use this line: no external power can dictate the government of India. Suppose Indian government is willing to pass any bill in the parliament. So does we seek permission from the United States? No. Does we seek the permission from the Britain? No. So India is internally as well as externally sovereign. Fine. So this we discussed in the last lecture. After that, democratic. Now India is a democratic country. Fine. I also give you example of Delhi government. I also give you the example of the Delhi government, and remember this quote of the Abraham Lincoln. What is the democracy in the words of Abraham Lincoln? Government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So this thing we discussed in the last lecture. Fine. Opposite of democracy is nothing but the dictatorship. So Delhi government, or whether your Nagaland state government, all government are example of a democratic government. And remember, I also told you about there are 2 types of democracy. The first one is a direct democracy, and second is indirect democracy. You know very well, when the population is very, very small, so what happens? All the peoples come together on a single platform and they are making rules for themselves. So this comes under the direct democracy. Now what happens when the population become very, very large? So it comes under indirect democracy. So India is experiencing which type of democracy? Indirect democracy. Through which? Election. So can I say election is a example of indirect democracy. Remember, election is not an example of direct democracy. Election is an example of indirect democracy. In the today lecture, we are also going to discuss the MCQ also. Fine. So we discuss democracy. Fine. Now what is the meaning of republic? I told you the meaning of republic is that the head of the state is not hereditary in nature, is not a monarch. Fine. Because previously we have a APJ Abdul Kalam Sahab as a president, then we have Pratibha Devi Singh Patil, then we have Pranab Mukherjee, after that we have a Ramnath Kovind, and now we have a Draupadi Murmu. Fine. So what it means? The head of the state is not a hereditary in nature. So this is the meaning of the republic. We discussed in the last lecture. We also discussed about the election of the president later. Fine. Now after that we discuss about the socialist. Remember these three words: socialist, secular, integrity. All these words are added by the when constitution was amended 42nd time in 1976. Now how you can remember? You can remember 4 plus 2 is nothing but 6, and that time who was the prime minister? Madam Indira Gandhi was the prime minister. So these three words were amended: socialist, secular and the integrity. So these were not available in the original constitution. Fine. Now after that we discuss about the secular. Now what is the meaning of the secularism? The meaning of the secularism is that India or India's state does not have any religion as a state religion. Whether you are a Hindu or Muslim or Christian, whatever you want to offer prayer in your church, temple or in your mosque, so state will never interfere. So remember, so state does not uphold any religion as a state religion. Fine. So this is the meaning of the secularism. Now let us come to the justice. So this is a very important one, and definitely MCQs are already came from this topic. Now remember, it was borrow from the USSR constitution. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was a very big fan of the Russia. That time USSR, whatever the policy implemented in the Russia, Pandit Nehru copy as it is. For example, 5-year plan. 5-year plan was first implemented in Russia. Pandit Nehru copy as it is that 5-year plan in India. Similarly, this word justice, Pandit Nehru, this justice word borrow from the USSR. Now if I would like to define this justice in a detailed manner, so I can discuss this justice in 3 categories. What is the first category? The first category is nothing but social justice. What is the second category? Second category is nothing but economic justice. What is the third category? Third category is nothing but political justice. Now let us discuss all this justice, means social justice, economic justice and the political justice in a detailed manner. Fine. Now you know, when Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was a student, what happens during his school days? There were different wells. So one well was reserved for a upper caste people, and one well was reserved for a lower caste people. But now what happens with the introduction of this word justice in a preamble? What this signifies? Social justice means there is a no discrimination. There is a no discrimination on the basis of a race, religion, sex, caste. Fine. So what is the meaning of social justice? The meaning of social justice is that it denotes the equal treatment of all citizens. Equal treatment of all citizens without any social discrimination. So there shall be no social discrimination on the basis of race, religion, caste, sex or place of birth. Fine. So this is the meaning of social justice. Now after social justice, let me come to the second type of justice, which is nothing but a economic justice. Now what is the meaning of economic justice? For example, you born in a Gandhi family or you born in a Nawab family, so you must have some privileges. But now according to our Constitution of India, it does not matter whether you are born in a upper class people, upper class family or a lower class family. All the rules will be same for everyone. Means there will be no discrimination on the basis of the economic factors. So what is the meaning of economic justice? The meaning of economic justice is nothing but it denotes the non-discrimination between the people. It denotes the non-discrimination between the people on the basis of economic factor. So remember my dear friend, what is the meaning of economic justice? The meaning of economic justice is that there is a no discrimination on the basis of economic factor. Agree? So I hope social justice is very much clear to you. Economic justice is also very much clear to you. And now when you combine both, means social justice and economic justice, so this will become the distributive justice. Suppose this question came in your examination, distributive justice. So do not afraid, distributive justice is nothing but it is just combination of social justice and your economic justice. Agree? So I hope this till here justice is very much clear to you. So we borrow this from the USSR. Fine. Present day it is Russia. Agree? Now what about political justice? The meaning of political justice is that suppose you want to belong a upper caste family, or one person is belonging to the lower caste family. So nowadays, after the introduction of a constitution of India, both peoples, whether you belong to the upper caste or whether you belong to the lower caste, both peoples have a right. Both peoples have a right to vote. And second, both if they want to make a new party, so both can make a new party, and all the public offices are open to both. It does not matter whether you are Brahman or whether you are Dalit, all the public offices are open to everyone. So can I say what is the meaning of political justice? The meaning of political justice is nothing but it means all the citizens should have equal political rights, comma, equal access to all political offices and equal voice in the government. Fine. So I hope till now there is no problem in this justice. Fine. So just read, and after that let me come to the next one. Fine. So I think this justice is very much clear to you. So remember how many types of justice are there, which is mentioned in the preamble. There are 3 types of justice. So there are 3 types of justice mentioned in the preamble. The first one is a social justice, second one is economic justice, and third one is a political justice. So remember my dear friend, social justice, economic justice and the political justice. Fine. I hope this justice word is very much clear to you. Now let me come to the next one, that is equality. Now what is the meaning of equality? We also going to discuss this equality in the fundamental right. Do not worry about this one. It means there is a no special privileges, no matter who you are. No special privileges, no matter who you are. Whether you belongs to a upper caste family or lower caste family, it does not matter in the eyes of a law or in the eyes of constitution. Both are same. This is the meaning of equality. And this equality we are also going to discuss in detail in fundamental rights. We are also going to discuss this thing in a detail in fundamental rights. Fine. The equality mentioned in the preamble embraces civic, political and economic equality. Economic equality. This idea was borrowed from the French Revolution. Remember my dear friend, previously justice was justice. Remember, this question may be asked. Justice was borrowed from the USSR, यानी कि that time present day it is Russia. Equality was borrowed from the French Revolution. Remember this one. Fine. So justice USSR, equality from the French Revolution. Some of the words which are mentioned in the preamble we are going to discuss in detail in fundamental rights. Some we are going to discuss in detail in the DPSP, so and so far. Fine. So I hope this equality is also very much clear to you. It means no special privileges no matter who you are, whether you belongs to the upper caste family or whether you belongs to the lower caste family. It does not matter. In the eyes of laws, all are same. Now let us come to the next one, that is a fraternity. Remember this word fraternity is also borrowed from the French Revolution. This is also borrowed from the French Revolution. Now what is the meaning of fraternity? The meaning of the fraternity is nothing but it is basically a sense of brotherhood. It is basically a sense of brotherhood. Now how you can promote the sense of brotherhood? By providing a single citizenship. For example, you people right now living in Nagaland and I belongs to the Haryana. So how a sense of brotherhood we can develop? Because both you people and me both are a citizen of a only single nation, that is our India. So can I say by providing a single citizenship, so we can say that by providing a single citizenship we can provide a sense of brotherhood. So remember my dear friend, what is the meaning of fraternity? A sense of brotherhood. How we can provide the sense of brotherhood? By providing a single citizenship. Fine. So remember, the preamble declares that fraternity has to assure two things. First is the dignity of the individual. Second, the unity and the integrity of the nation. The word integrity was added through the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. This I already told to you. Please remember this integrity word, secular, socialist. These three words were added by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. Fine. The Constitution tries to promote a sense of fraternity through a system of single citizenship. So this question may be asked in your prelims. How you will provide a sense of a brotherhood? So simply remember, by providing a single citizenship. By providing a single citizenship. So we all peoples are belonging to only one country, and that is our India. Fine. Now, this is a quote given by Dr. K.M. Munshi. So Dr. K.M. Munshi opined that the dignity of the individual signifies that the Constitution not only ensure material betterment and maintain a democratic setup, but it also recognizes that the personality of every individual is sacred. So I'm also going to give you some quote given by, for example, Dr. K.M. Munshi. And similarly, there is a very prominent person, N. Palkhiwala. When you read the M. Lakshmikant, so in this book, M. Lakshmikant, it is mentioned, N. Palkhiwala Sahab said, preamble is nothing but it is the identity card of the Constitution. It's nothing but the identity card of the Constitution. And K.M. Munshi Sahab also said that it is nothing but a horoscope. Preamble is nothing but a horoscope. So these things we are going to discuss with the help of a MCQ. Fine. So simply remember, what is the meaning of fraternity? The meaning of fraternity is nothing but a sense of brotherhood, and how you will provide this essence of brotherhood by providing the single citizenship. By providing the single citizenship. Agree? I hope till here everything is clear to you. Fine. So we discuss fraternity. Before that we discuss equality. It means no special privileges, no matter who you are. Fine. And before that we discuss about the justice, social justice, economic justice, and the political justice. Fine. So justice is over, equality is over. We are also going to discuss this in detail in fundamental right, and after that fraternity. Fine. Now let's come to the last one, and the very, very important one is nothing but a liberty. Now, what is the meaning of liberty? Now, if you belong to a Nagaland, have you ever seen on the streets, on the wall of the streets, you will find some painting. Some people's, some prominent leader or some prominent person painting you will find in Kohima, in Nagaland, when you go to the Kohima. Fine. Especially in the PR Hill. Now, remember, what is the meaning of liberty? The meaning of liberty means freedom. Liberty means freedom. Whatever you want to express, you can express. So how you can express? You can express through movies. There is a very famous movie of Article, Bollywood movie. The name of that movie is Article 15. So if you have a time, please ask this movie. This is one of the best movie ever made in the Bollywood, Article 15. So whatever you want to express, you can express through movies. Whatever you want to express, you can express through the art forms, or you can express through the painting column. For example, you want to write something in the Nagaland Times, so you can give your thoughts in a column. Fine. So similarly, in the form of a music or writing books. And remember, this idea was also borrowed from the French Revolution. Fine. So whatever you want to express, you can express through the paintings, through the art form, through the movies, through the movie or writing books. But UPSC will ask the question, how many types of liberties are there? How many types of liberty are there? So remember, there are 5 types of liberty. The first one is liberty of thought. This is the first one. First one is liberty of thought. Second one is expression. Third one is belief. Fourth one is faith, and the fifth one is worship. Agree? So UPSC will definitely ask how many types of liberties are there, which is mentioned in the preamble of the Constitution. So remember, my dear friend, the first one is liberty of thought. Second one is liberty of expression. The third one is liberty of belief. The fourth one is liberty of faith. The fifth one is liberty of worship. Agree? So all these things we discuss in a very detailed manner. Now this is a time for MCQ. Fine. So let us move with the MCQ. Fine. So after that, let us discuss. Okay, before that MCQ, let me give you some cases, and these cases are very, very important. These cases are very, very important. Now, what are these cases? The first case is Birubari Union case. Remember the year? Birubari means 1960. Second case I am going to discuss, that is the Keshwananda Bharati case. Year you have to remember 1973. And third case is the LIC case 1995. Fine. Remember the name of the case and remember the year. UPSC definitely asks, not directly, they are interested in the indirect way of asking the question. Fine. So what you have to remember? You have to remember the case, year, and they are related to which judgment. For example, in the Birubari Union case 1960, Supreme Court specifically opened that preamble is not a part of the constitution. Means in Birubari case, Supreme Court said preamble is not a part of the constitution. But later on, Supreme Court changed its judgment, in which case? In Keshwananda Bharati case judgment 1973. So in this Keshwananda Bharati case judgment, Supreme Court said that preamble is a part of the constitution. Preamble is a part of the constitution. And again, there is another case of LIC of India 1995, and in this case also Supreme Court said preamble is a integral part of the Constitution of India. Fine. So I am giving you keywords for your print paper. So remember, first case is Birubari. First is Birubari, that is 1960 case. Second case is Keshwananda Bharati case. Keshwananda Bharati case 1973. And the third case is nothing but LIC of India. Third case is LIC of India. So remember, my dear friend, year, that is 1995. So in first case, that is a Birubari Union case, Supreme Court said preamble is not a, Supreme Court said preamble is not a part of the constitution. Not a part of the constitution. Now in this case, Supreme Court changed its judgment and said it is a part of the constitution, and in this also they said that it is a part of the constitution. So till now I told you three cases. Remember, my dear friend, all these three cases, they are the very important, not for your UPSC but for your NPSC or state level public service examination also. Fine. Birubari Union case 1960, Supreme Court said preamble is not a part of the constitution. Keshwananda Bharati case and LIC of India case, in both the cases Supreme Court said preamble is a part of the constitution. But remember one thing, preamble is not enforceable. Preamble is not enforceable in court of law. Not enforceable in court of law. Now what is the meaning of this not enforceable in court of law? Let me tell you what is the meaning of this. For example, I discuss social justice. What is the meaning of social justice? Means there is a no discrimination on the basis of race, religion, caste, sex, place of birth. Fine. Social justice. Now suppose what happens, there is a discrimination against you on the basis of a for example sex. For example, you are a female and some peoples are doing social discrimination that women are not allowed in this particular area. So what is happening? Social justice is happening. So you cannot go to the court and said that it is mentioned in the preamble, it is my right. No. So remember, preamble is not enforceable in the court of law. Whatever written in the preamble is not enforceable. Fundamental rights are enforceable. We are going to discuss this in a detail later. But till now, remember, my dear friend, these are preamble is not enforceable in court of law. Agree? It is not enforceable in court of law. There are some other countries also which are also having preamble in this constitution. So basically India copied this preamble from United States of America. India copied this from United States of America. Agree? So after that, please note down all these things which is mentioned in the slide. So please make a separate copy, and in this copy write whatever I have written in this PPT, write as it is. And now I am going to discuss the MCQ, because MCQ are the very, very important. Fine. Now till now, if you have any doubt, you can comment in the live chat. I will take your doubt, or otherwise let me continue with the MCQs. Fine. So if you have any doubt, let us discuss that doubt, or so if you have any doubt, please comment in the live chat, or let me start with the MCQ. So these are the four points you have to remember. Birubari case, Keshwananda Bharti case, LIC of India 1995. In Birubari, preamble is not a part of the constitution. Keshwananda Bharti and LIC of India, it is a part of the constitution. Okay, fine. Now let me start with the MCQ, because MCQ are the very, very important. So first MCQ, let us start with the first MCQ. Choose the current sequence of the words mentioned in the preamble of Constitution of India. Now if you see your preamble, this is your preamble. So can I say what is the sequence? Sequence is justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. Agree? Remember the sequence, my dear friend. Sequence is justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. So let me back to our main slide. So can you comment the answer of this question? The answer will be liberty, equality. The answer will be justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. Agree? So what is the right answer? Right answer will be D. D for Dimapur is the right answer. Justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. So this is the right answer. Agree? Fine. Later on you can copy this question in your notebook later on, but now enjoy the lecture. Fine. Now let me come to the next question. The preamble of Constitution of India was inspired by preamble of Constitution of which of the following country? Germany? No. Japan? No. France? No. What is the right answer? United States of America. So India copied the concept of the preamble from the United States of America. Agree? So right answer is D. D for Dimapur is the right answer. Agree? So D for Dimapur or D for Delhi is the right answer. Just enjoy the lecture. Later on you can copy. Just enjoy the lecture. Now let me come to the next part. What is the legal nature? This is a very beautiful question. What is the legal nature of the preamble of the Constitution? Now let me read all the points. The first is it is enforceable. Second is it is not enforceable. Third one is it may be enforced in specific circumstances, and fourth is none of the above. As I told you already, remember my dear friend, preamble is not enforceable in court of a law. So what is the right answer? Right answer is B. It is not enforceable. Agree? You cannot go to the court that there is a discrimination on the basis of race, religion, sex, place of birth. So this is not enforceable. So what is the legal nature? This is the legal nature of your preamble of the Constitution. I hope you can understand this point. So it is not enforceable. Not enforceable. Agree? Now let me come to the next question. Which of the following words was inserted in the preamble by Constitutional Amendment Act 1976? Liberty? No. Equality? No. Justice? No. Socialist? Can you tell me what are the other name also? Socialist, secularism, socialist, secularism, and integrity. So these are the words which were added by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. Fine. So remember all these points. Fine. Now let me come to the next question. I hope this is very much clear to you. What is the next question? Which of the following statement about the preamble is not correct? So remember, my dear friend, not correct. Question is regarding not correct. Let me read all the statement one by one. What is the first statement? The preamble to the Indian Constitution is based on the objective resolution drafted by B.R. Ambedkar. So first statement is absolutely wrong. If it is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, because objective resolution was not drafted by B.R. Ambedkar, objective resolution was drafted by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So this statement is wrong. So he is asking not correct. So can I say A is the right answer? A is the right answer. Now let me also discuss what is written in B, what is written in C, and what is written in D. So what is written in B? It has been amended only once. Yes, this statement is absolutely right, because it was amended only first time, 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. Agree? Now what about the third one? The preamble states that the Constitution derives its authority from the people of India. This statement is also absolutely correct, because when you read the preamble, the first statement you will find the we the people of India. So can you tell me what is the meaning of we the people of India? The meaning of we the people of India is nothing but source of the Constitution of India. It means our Constitution is not a gift of the foreign power. Our Constitution is not a gift of the foreign organization. Our Constitution is a gift of the people of this country, which they have given to themselves. So remember, even you can write this in a mains paper. If there is a requirement of this wording na, or if you want to write in essay paper also, you can write the preamble state that the Constitution derives its authority from the people of India. From the people of India, because what is the source of the Constitution? We the people of India. Now what about the D part? It stipulates November 26, 1949 as the date of adoption of the Constitution. So this statement is also absolutely correct. So we adopt our Constitution on 26 November 1949. So some of the provision were applied on this date, but it comes into force or enforced on 26th January 1950. Agree? 26th January 1950. Fine. I hope this is very much clear to you. Fine. So please enjoy this, and after that we'll take the next question. Now let me discuss the next. Let me go to the next slide. So let me read. With regards to the Constitution of India, which of the following statement is not correct? So this question is also regarding not correct. Fine. What is the first? The word socialist and secular word originally the part of the Constitution. You know very well, socialist and secular and even the integrity. These are the three words which were added by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. So can I say this statement is absolutely wrong, and this question is asking about the not correct. So can I say this A is the absolutely right answer? Okay. Now what about B? Let me also read all this also. The preamble state that the objects of the Constitution of India. Yes, I also told you about the objective: justice, fraternity, unity, integrity. These are the objective. Equality. So this statement is also correct. The preamble is enforceable in court of a law. Sorry. sorry, I'm really very sorry. The word socialist and secular were, sorry, I forget, were not originally the part of the constitution. Sorry. So this statement is absolutely correct. Sorry, I forget about this word. I'm really sorry. Socialist and secular were not originally the part of the constitution. This statement is absolutely correct. Sorry, please. Sorry. Second, the preamble state that the objects of the Constitution of India. This statement is also correct. The preamble is enforceable in court of law. So this statement is absolutely wrong, because I already told you, you cannot go to the court and saying that this justice is mentioned in the preamble of the Constitution of India, so please enforce this. So this statement is wrong. So this statement is wrong. So what is the right answer? Right answer is this one. Now let me read the last one also. A republic refer to the people as a source of the authority under the Constitution. So this statement is also the correct one, because he is asking about the not correct. So what is the right answer? The right answer is C. The preamble is enforceable in court of law. This is the wrong one, and he is asking about the not correct. So C is the right answer. Agree? Now let me come to the next question. Which among the following, again note, why I am taking this note question, because maximum time peoples are confusing in this word. Even I confused in the previous question. Fine. So that's why I am taking more question regarding note. So which among the following is not revealed by the preamble of the Indian Constitution? Date of adoption of the Constitution. Let me first read all the points. Date of adoption of the Constitution, nature of the Indian state, date of enforcement of the Constitution, source of the authority of the Constitution. You know, what is the source of the authority of the Constitution? We the people of India. Date of enforcement of preamble is not mentioned because date of adoption is mentioned. And what was the adoption? Enforcement date is, this is 26th January 1950. So this was not mentioned. So can I say right answer is this one? Nature of Indian state, we already discussed. Date of adoption, what is the date of adoption? 26th November 1949. Fine. This is mentioned. What is not mentioned in the preamble? The date of enforcement is not mentioned, and the date of enforcement is nothing but 26 January 1950. So because of 26, we are celebrating this day as a Republic Day. Fine. So I hope this is very much clear to you. Fine. So some students are also commenting in the live chat. Good, it's okay. Now let me come to the next one. Fine. Let me come to the next one. I hope everyone, 4 students are live in YouTube. So I hope all 4 students are enjoying this preamble. I hope. Which of the following term in our preamble means behaving as if we are the member of the same family? If you remember, we recently discussed member of same family means a sense of brotherhood. Means a sense of brotherhood. So can I say fraternity? Fraternity is the term which is mentioned in the preamble, which behaving as we are the member of the same family. How? Because it does not matter you belongs to a different state or I belongs to the different state. We all are the citizen of a single country, that is our India. Fine. So right answer is 3. 3 is the right answer. Fraternity. This is the right answer. Now let me come to the next question. I hope the whole question is visible in your screen. It's visible, I think. So which of the following words were added to the preamble of the Indian Constitution through the amendment? Now this question is regarding amendment, and I already told you only preamble is only amended only one time, that is the 42nd time, Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. So what are the 3 words? The 3 words are socialist, secular and integrity. So this is not the answer. So what is the right answer? B. B for Bombay is the right answer. Fine. So these 3 words were amended by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, that is 1976. Fine, only one time. Preamble was amended only one time. Fine. Now let me come to the next question. Which one of the following objective is not? So my dear friend, I am again using this not word so that you people feel comfortable. Fine. Is not embodied in the preamble of the Constitution of India. Okay, tell me, liberty of thought is mentioned? Yes, liberty of thought is mentioned. Economic liberty, no. Economic justice is mentioned, economic liberty is not mentioned. Fine. Liberty of expression mentioned, liberty of belief, these are mentioned. So what is not mentioned? B. So what is the right answer? Right answer is B. B for Bombay is the right answer. So there are 5 types of liberty, I already told you. So there is a no economic liberty. Fine. So what is the right answer of this question? Right answer of this question is nothing but B. B for Bombay is the right answer. Fine. So let me come to the next question. Next question is, in the context of polity, which one of the following would you accept as the most appropriate definition of liberty? So my dear friend, now be ready. So we are jumping to the another next level. So if all the previous things are clear, so you peoples can give the right answer of this question. You have to tell the most appropriate definition of liberty. I already told you what is the meaning of liberty. Liberty means freedom. Whatever you want to represent through your column, through the music, through the art form, through the painting, through the movies, whatever you want to represent, you can represent. So protection, you have to tell the appropriate definition. Protection against the tyranny of the political ruler, no, this is not the appropriate. Absence of the restraint, no. Opportunity to do whatever likes, no. Opportunity to develop oneself fully, yes, this is the absolutely right answer. Opportunity to develop oneself fully. Remember my dear friend, very important. If you can mug up this, it will be very much useful for you. Fine. Opportunity to develop oneself fully. 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 This is the most appropriate definition of liberty. What do you mean by liberty? Liberty is nothing but, my dear friend, liberty means freedom. What is the meaning of liberty? Liberty means freedom. Fine. This is the most appropriate definition. Even if you see the previous year question paper of Politina UPSC paper, you will find such questions like this. Most appropriate definition. Fine. So I hope this is very much clear to you. Now let me take you to the next question. When was the preamble to the Indian Constitution last amended? So everyone knows it was amended 42nd time, Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. Can you tell me who was the Prime Minister that time? Madam Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister that time. So what is the right answer? B for Bombay is the right answer. So we discussed so many times this question, so many times. Right answer is B. B for Bombay is the right answer. Now come to the next one. Which one of the following person had called the preamble as the identity card of the Constitution? Actually, I framed this question from the Lakshmikant. When you read the 6th edition of M. Lakshmikant, in the starting, it is mentioned identity card of the Constitution. Preamble is known as the identity card of the Constitution. Who told about this? N.A. Palkhiwala. Who was N.A. Palkhiwala? We'll discuss this thing later. Fine. So remember N.A. Palkhiwala. So please consider this question as a extra information. Fine. Next question. How many types of justice are mentioned in the preamble? We discussed already social, economic, political. So what is the right answer? Right answer is 3. So there are 3 types of justice. So what is the right answer? Right answer is B. B for Bombay is the right answer. Fine. So I hope this is very much clear to you. Now let me come to the next question. Next question is, how many types of liberty are mentioned in the preamble? So UPSC or NPSC will definitely ask such type of basic question. So you know there are 5 types of liberty. I already told you. liberty of thought, liberty of expression, liberty of belief, faith and worship. Remember, there is no economic liberty. Sometime NPSC or UPSC may give economic liberty. Remember, there is no economic liberty. So what is the right answer? Right answer is D. D for Dimapur or D for Delhi is the right answer. 5 types of liberty are there: thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. Next question is regarding the equality. When I teach you the fundamental right now, so we are going to discuss this equality in detail, where you will discuss about this equality of status and opportunity. So I will discuss this thing in a detail. So if you have a doubt, so this doubt is going to be clear in the fundamental rights. So till now you can write the answer. How many types of equality? Only 2 types. What are 2 types? Equality of status and opportunity. So we are going to discuss this thing in detail in the fundamental rights. So till now remember this question as a extra information. Fine, extra information. Now Indian socialism is based upon Marxism, Russian, Chinese, Gandhian. I already told you Indian socialism is nothing but it is the Gandhian socialism, or sometimes suppose Gandhian is not mentioned in the option, so you will find democratic. You will find democratic socialism. Fine. So whether it is the Gandhian or whether it is a democratic, or sometime in examination you will find Fabian. I think this is the spelling, maybe Fabian. The meaning is almost same. Gandhian democratic or Fabian socialism. Fabian socialism. So all these are same because Marx socialism talk about the revolution, and you know that revolution can be bloody as well. So this question was asked by the Madam Indira Gandhi, what was your definition of socialism? So Madam Indira Gandhi said that time we are following the Gandhian socialism or democratic socialism or Fabian socialism. Fine. Now I think this is very much clear to you. Now let me take you to the next question, and the next question is direct democracy is based on 4 devices. Okay. Now remember, I already told you there are 2 types of democracy. One is the direct democracy and second is the indirect democracy. What happens in the direct democracy? The population is very less. All peoples come together on a single platform and they are making a laws. Now can I said there is another democracy? What is the meaning of that democracy? Another democracy is indirect democracy. So what happens in indirect democracy? India is following indirect democracy, means representative democracy, in which elections are there. Fine. So this question is regarding direct democracy is based on 4 devices. Which one of the following is not a device? Not a device of direct democracy. Referendum? Yes. Initiative? Yes. Recall? Yes. Election is not. Why? Because election is a device of indirect democracy. Now please consider this question as a extra information. I am telling you these 4 types of tool: referendum, initiative, recall and plebiscite. So this question may be asked in your examination, what are the 4 tools, what are the 4 devices of a direct democracy? So you can remember referendum, initiative, recall and plebiscite. And what are the devices of the indirect democracy? Election. So answer is election. So I hope you can when you read your international relation, so when you study about the Jammu and Kashmir and reorganization of the state, or maybe in history also you have studied, you will come across this referendum in modern Indian history: initiative, recall, plebiscite. Fine. So remember, these are the 4 tools of the direct, 4 tools or 4 devices of the direct democracy. Fine. I hope this is very much clear to you. Now let me take you the next question. The idea of liberty, equality and fraternity. Remember, idea of liberty, equality and fraternity in our preamble has been taken from, remember, the answer goes to the French Revolution. French Revolution. Do not worry, maybe in your world history you came across this French Revolution from 1789 to 1799. French Revolution. Fine. Equality, liberty, equality, fraternity. Fine. So remember this question as a extra information. Now what about the next one? Who gave this statement that preamble is the horoscope of our sovereign democratic republic? The answer goes to K.M. Munshi. Answer goes to K.M. Munshi. Fine. So consider this question is also as a extra information. Fine. Now next question. Which of the following is not true? Again I am using this word not true. Not true about the preamble. Preamble is part of the constitution. Okay, leave this first part. Preamble is neither a source of power to the legislature nor a prohibition upon the power of the legislature. Okay, it is non-justiciable. Fourth is its provision can be enforceable in court of law. I told you so many times, whatever mention in the preamble is not enforceable in court of law, So this statement is wrong, and he is asking about the not true, means this is not true. So what is the right answer? D for Dimapur or D for Delhi is the right answer. I hope this is very much clear to you. Fine. Now let me take Okay, this is all about your preamble. Fine. Now, today is the second class. If you missed the first class, I will share you the link of the first class. Do not worry. Now, one topic is completed. So, till we have completed one topic. What is the name of that topic? Preamble. So, what you have to do? Please watch these videos multiple times, and after watching this video, please read your M. Lakshmikant. Please read your M. Lakshmikant, and after reading M. Lakshmikant, please solve UPSC previous year question paper. Please solve UPSC previous year question paper. Fine. Now tomorrow I am going to start with the fundamental right. So tomorrow same timing will be. So just wait. The class will be start around 9:15 p.m. or sometime it may be delay, because I have to also manage the whole setup, because you people are see only this panel, but there are so many things are there. There is a this mic is also, we have to also set up the mic, light system is there, so many things are there in a room, so we have to also manage all these things. So do not worry. So around 9:15 or 9:20 the class will be live. I will share the link tomorrow also. So tomorrow we are going to start with the fundamental right. Tomorrow we are going to start with the fundamental rights. Fine. So till now, I think whatever I teach you today, I hope everyone enjoyed this lecture. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me that doubt also. So in today's lecture, that's all. Tomorrow we are going to start with the fundamental right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.